Hello, this is Jim Dickey. I want to welcome you to this advisory services briefing where we're going to explore new ways of leveraging AI-enabled CRM innovations to optimize sales coaching. Now, joining me for this briefing will be Andy Kung from Salesforce, who I'll properly introduce in a few minutes. But our joint goal for this briefing is to provide you with insights into the value of effective coaching, as well as to profile some new capabilities and processes that you can use to help your sales managers mentor their teams to reach their full potential. So let's start by taking a look at some of the research data on what sales organizations told us recently that they were focusing on for 2020. Now, if there are any companies in the world right now that are not focused on optimizing sales performance, I don't know who they are. The fragile status of the current business climate has left us all looking for ways to turbocharge the revenue engine. As part of Sales Mastery's recent sales optimization study, as we surveyed over 500 B2B companies worldwide, we asked them to share with us the top 3 improvement goals they had for their sales organizations for this year. Now, on this chart, we see a summary of their responses. Now, as you scroll down the list, all of these are valid candidates for optimization. But having a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish is only half the equation. It needs to be backed up with how you're going to accomplish any of these things. And while there are multiple levers you could utilize, one that can have a universal impact across all of these objectives is optimizing sales coaching. If we increase the efficiency and effectiveness of our sales managers, they in turn should be able to improve the skill levels and competencies of their sales team members. Now, a resource we've long turned to for insights on effective coaching is Peter Senge, a systems scientist at MIT School of Management. Now, in his book, The Fifth Discipline, Peter laid out 5 principles of effective coaching. He said coaching needs to be timely, needs to be accurate, needs to be relevant, needs to be consistent, and finally, individualized. Now, on the surface, this list is logical. It's easy to understand. But as it relates to coaching sales teams, we need to be honest and ask ourselves, are we actually doing these things? Now, in the primary research that Barry Traylor and I have been doing for well over a decade now, we found that companies adopt one of 4 models when it comes to sales coaching. At level 1, historically the most common, the company leaves coaching up to the individual sales manager. He or she, in turn, often falls back on a combination of how they sold and how they were coached when they decide how they want to work with their sales team. Now, at level 2, there's an informal attempt to regulate coaching that's suggested to sales managers, but it's not reinforced and enforced. At level 3, there's a commitment made to standardize coaching via a formal process that managers are trained on and are expected to consistently use. And finally, at level 4, that formal process is supported by CRM and analytics solutions to provide managers with metrics and insights into how their team members are performing, so they can adapt their coaching to the changes in the marketplace. Now, looking at these 4 approaches, a valid question is, does it make a difference which one you choose? Well, in January of 2018, in my column in CRM Magazine, I published an analysis of win rate of forecast deals as related to sales coaching. Now, as we see here, the level of coaching has a significant impact on the performance of sales team members. I'll provide you with a link at the end of this online briefing if you want to dive deeper into the analysis. So the size of the prize is huge, but how do we get there? So let's briefly review 3 challenges we need to overcome to help our managers optimize their coaching effectiveness. The first issue we need to deal with is related to time. Over the years, our own studies, as well as those of others, have painted a pretty consistent picture. Looking at how managers allocate their time, roughly 1/5 of their work week is focused on coaching. Now, if a manager has, on average, 8 direct reports, that means that they have about an hour to spend per seller per week on coaching. If we further break that time down, we see that about 40 minutes of that hour is spent on deal coaching and a scant 20 minutes is spent on skills development. So how do we help managers make the most effective use of that time? Challenge number 2 is sales management's visibility into the status of a deal, what's really transpiring between a seller and a buyer. Now, way too many deal coaching sessions start with the manager asking for the seller's assessment of a given opportunity. She may turn to her sales team member and say, "Jim, how'd the meeting go with Acme?" To which she gets an answer, "It went great, Terry." And Terry now has what? She's got nothing. She's got nothing but Jim's unverifiable impression of how the meeting went. Now, challenge number 2 could be overcome if a manager had access to insight and metrics of what actually happened during the meeting. But that's where challenge number 3 comes in. Now, the person in the meeting was the seller. Now, they were undoubtedly focused on understanding what was happening during the meeting. But the fact is, people only are able to remember 17% to, on the high side, 25% of what was actually said during a conversation. And even some of that is subject to interpretation. So what about the notes that the seller may have taken? Well, I use myself as a guinea pig, and I've looked through my notes of what I typically do during a 1-hour meeting. And on average, I write down about a page of keywords that mean something to me and probably nothing to anyone else in my 5 by 8 inch notebook. Now, if you then ask me to key that information into CRM, you're going to get a fraction of that if I have time to do anything besides enter into CRM my previous assessment of the meeting went great. So how do we overcome those challenges? Well, to help me start to answer that question, I invited Andy Kung to join us today. Andy's a Senior Director of Product Management at Salesforce. Now, one of the reasons I value his perspective is he's personally had years of experience in blending high tech and high touch to optimize complex processes. The work he's been involved in collaborating with the Sales Cloud team at Salesforce has resulted in some innovations that they're releasing to the marketplace. So Andy, welcome, and thanks for offering to share your insights into a new approach of utilizing metrics to drive sales coaching.
Thank you, Jim. Einstein Co-Coaching is a new feature in Salesforce's high-velocity sales product. It leverages the power of AI to analyze inside sales teams' call recordings and surface insights and coachable moments to sales managers. We know it's a common practice for many businesses today to record sales calls for coaching purposes. However, as Jim said, managers only have so much time to listen to all the call recordings, right? With Einstein Co-Coaching, call recordings are now integrated right into your CRM. So as you see on the screen here, not only can sales managers play back the recordings in Salesforce, it also enables managers to see the speaker track and understand the talk to listen ratio, giving them an idea of the rhythm of the conversation. So you can see whether your rep is talking too much, maybe they should be listening more. Managers also no longer have to listen to the entire call in order to find important moments. They can now skip to the part where a particular keyword or moment occurred. For example, a manager can just focus on how the rep pitched the product or how a particular objection came up and provide feedback that way. And just think about how much time you can save by having all the call recordings in one place, right in your CRM, and the ability to listen to the part that you care about. And that is just one call. You can imagine as Einstein Co-Coaching analyzes all your team's sales calls, it helps you see the big picture. Managers can see how different products are trending in the conversation. For example, if you are running a promotion on a product, you should see that product mention trending up in the conversations. And this tool helps you validate that. You can also use it and see how your competitors come up in the conversation. If a competitor is trending up, you can get a list of calls with this competitor mentioned and jump directly to the segment when the competitor is mentioned in the call recording, as you saw in the previous slide. It helps you understand why and how they came up and how you can potentially train your team to better address it. Out of the box, Einstein Co-Coaching analyzes for product and competitor mentions, as well as pricing discussion and next steps. You can also customize your own custom keywords for Einstein Co-Coaching. A common use case is to track how COVID-19 comes up in the conversation and understand how it impacts your customers. This dashboard allows you to see the aggregated data for your team, but you can also filter it down to individual reps. In fact, it is a great tool for your one-on-ones. You can have a much more targeted and engaging coaching session with your team. The great thing about Einstein Co-Coaching is that it gives you visibility into the voice of your customers in an objective way. And it's not just limited to the individual sales teams. Sales leaders all of a sudden also have visibility into their groups and regions. It can even extend to other functional areas based on the voice of the customers. We talked about competitive intel as an example earlier. Marketing could also identify if there's a disconnect in their messaging. You can get tons of product feedback and give it to product development. You can understand objections such as pricing reactions and other negotiation roadblocks. Sales calls have been a black box for many organizations. And now, with Einstein Co-Coaching, everybody gets the same view of the voice of the customers.
Thanks, Andy. So let's put things back in perspective. If we refer back to what Peter Senge was advocating in order to have effective coaching, with advances in CRM, coaching can easily be timely as the transcription and analysis of the call occurs as soon as the meeting with the client is over. As the analysis is done in the entirety of what transpired versus just some summary notes, the call coaching can be also more accurate and relevant. And utilizing capabilities like keyword analysis, we can ensure that coaching is consistent across all sales team members. And finally, since the system is analyzing the performance of each salesperson, the coaching can be individualized to address their identified strengths and weaknesses. So Andy, as we were talking earlier, you touched on a shift taking place in how managers and salespeople interact. Could you share those thoughts before we wrap up the briefing?
Thank you, Jen. Yes, we know coaching your team to have great sales calls is never easy. Jim talked about the different challenges earlier in the session. So we know managers often spend hours blindly listening to calls without a clear focus. And to make matters worse, with more teams shifting to remote selling in the current environment, managers can't always walk the halls to provide feedback to their teams. And reps, they can't simply raise their hands to ask for help. And as you saw earlier, we believe Einstein Co-Coaching addresses this problem. First, it aggregates the sales calls together with your CRM data so you always have the right context. Then, using conversation intelligence, it surfaces insights and coachable moments in these sales calls to save you time and provide sales managers with the most up-to-date view of what their customers are saying. I'm from Salesforce product management team, and we are constantly enhancing their experience. It is our passion to help our customers improve sales processes and build products like this. So if you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you understand more, to take your feedback. Thank you for your time. Back to you, Jim.
So if you want to learn more about optimizing coaching, here's some additional resources for you to leverage. To read the entire article in CRM Magazine I referred to that overviews the impact that sales coaching can have on win rate of forecast deals, you can click on this link. To see a more detailed demo of sales coaching in action, you can click on this link. And if you want more details on sales coaching product functionality, you can click on this link. And as always, if this briefing has prompted some ideas or thoughts for you, feel free to reach out to Barry and myself directly, and we can address those as well as talk about other types of briefings that are available as part of this series.